So I've just received the new Xbox One Pro controller by Microsoft. Today we're going to unbox it, take a quick look at it, and then we're going to completely tear it apart, disassemble it, and fully reassemble it. So let's get started. Need to first open the box. So it's literally just arrived. Get rid of that. So this is it. I think it's about £120. It's got a nice little box. Lots of sealing all around. Ooh, case. So very nicely packaged. So looks like we've got a USB cable. Some batteries. Open the other side. Yep, a sort of quality micro USB cable. Then lots of books that I'll never read. So we've got a quick setup guide, just telling you how to use the controller. And then your warranty, your product manual, all the other junk that nobody ever reads. So let's get rid of the casing. So we've got a nice fabric case with a hard surface, and there we have it. This is very nice. It's got a metallic. It actually is metal. It's like a little steel D-pad, magnetic. Let's take this out. You can see. You can feel the quality. This is really well built, very responsive. And the reason this is the Pro is on the back. You have, is it the Pro or is it the Elite? What do they call this thing? The Elite rather. So the Elite controller. You got these tactile buttons on the back, which have got little buttons inside. So when you press, you get this click. So these can be, I believe, remapped to any of these buttons on the controller so that you can press them while you're playing with your fingers. You've also got these little green tabs here. These are hair triggers that stop. So you see your natural trigger press goes all the way down to there. You enable the hair trigger and it stops a lot higher up. So there's, so we can get a good view. There's with them on, it stops almost straight away. Take it off, and you've got your conventional right the way down. And these are just the little tabs on the back. Again, they're metal and feel very nice and responsive. Battery pack, just the same as the others. And then inside the box we've got another D-pad. So if you don't like this D-pad, you just simply pull it off and snap the new one on. Again, all magnetic. I believe it's the same with the thumb pads. These just pull off, so the heads are magnetic again. And if you don't like those, you can pick another one out the box, say the smooth one. Simply snap it on. And then we have another style. This is like a longer one, so pull that off. You've got like a really long D-pad, I guess for more accurate movement from high up. So that's quite cool. and then it's got slots in the case for these trigger arms, these tactile button arms at the back, in case you don't want to use them. So if you don't want these at the back, you can simply pull them off. So we'll actually start with that because we're going to take this thing apart next. So they just pull off. So put everything in this case. Clear this out of the way. So, left one thumbstick off, that doesn't matter. So in general, the feel of this is very nice, very well built, and feels sort of heavy and just a quality build in general. So let's see what's inside this thing. So we'll start by removing the battery cover. Now to go any further, you have to take off these two arms. To do that, you'll see a previous video I did with the Xbox One controller in general. It took about 5 minutes to just get these things off. With taking hundreds of them apart, you soon realise all you need to do is get a firm grip anywhere along this seal, or down here, or along here, just anywhere you can get your fingers in, just get in like that and literally just pull, and they come off. And these clips are very strong, they've never broken yet. So fingers in and pull, and that's it, they just clip in and pull off, and that's all there is to it. So those come off. Now what you'll need for this is two screwdrivers. You want a T8 and a T6, which I'll link in the video to where you can buy them, so you can get a good picture of this. They're just the Torx heads, which are the 5-star heads. Again, I'll give a link in the video. The outside ones are the T8, the larger one. There's 4, so there's one there, one there, one there, one there, and one in the centre of this sticker. So simply unscrew those. And then the center one is, you can feel with your finger where it gets soft. Just poke it through wherever it's soft, and then you'll see the hole for the 5th screw. See if we can zoom in a little bit here. There we go. So, there we go. So with those 5 out, I tend to lift. Oh, come on, focus. There we go. Lift at the top here on the back. Just lift forward. And what's going to hold this in, so you can see I'm lifting up there, is this audio jack at the bottom. It tries to sort of hook over that. So the best way I found was to just lift forward like this and generally push forward a little bit. And then it's loose. So you see it sort of release off there. And now that'll just lift up nicely. Before you lift this off and yank, what you need to be careful of is when you open it up, you see this ribbon cable attaching the Elite triggers. So it's here. So to get that off, you simply want to lift this black tab. So you'll see this black tab here. You just want to flick that up. You don't need to use a knife, I'm just using it so you can see on the camera. Just flick that up in the air, and then this pulls out nice and easy. And that gets off the back cover. So let's just take apart this back cover first. Move the screws out of the way. So what you've got on the back, you've got these 4 buttons which were for those triggers, the rear triggers, and then you've got these hair triggers that stop these LT and RT going down. This ribbon cable connects the 4 buttons to the main circuit board, so you can remove this ribbon from this side just the same. Simply flick up the black tab and pull that out. Now you need to go to the T6 screwdriver, the small one. Let's remove this board. So you just remove these 2 screws. and this board will lift out. And you can see on the back it's actually got this rubber stuck to it with the buttons on. So if you peel that off, this originally went here, over the top, and you can see under there you've got these two magnets, and these are the magnets that snap the arms in, those button arms. The circuit board itself is nice and easy. It's simply 4 buttons, so you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 buttons, and all these do is short to ground. So on the chip on the main board, it just monitors for if it's a high voltage, then the buttons aren't pressed, and when you press the button it shorts to ground. So that's nice and easy. There's nothing else really to this board. And then you've got these little trigger adjusters. To get those out, you unscrew the big screw, and you'll notice this has a spring. So you can see there's a spring here, there, and the main screw. And now you can't quite pull this plastic arm out, because you'll see when you try, it's sort of stuck. You have to take this other screw out, and that will release the green metal tab from the black plastic arm. Don't worry about all these screws that come out, every single one's the same size. So if it's a T6 screw, it's all the same size. This pulls out, you get the little arm, and then you get this little green metal tab. The other side's just the same, so we won't take that out. Just get this external screw. And then the other thing really left on this back panel, short of just removing the magnets, is this battery clip. So you can remove the battery clip by there's 2 little tabs here, black tabs. So again, if you get something like a knife or anything to pry underneath, and from the other side you're pushing down on these. So if I get my fingers over, so we can get the camera to see, sort of over them, to be pushing downwards, and then I get under these tabs and simply lift them up. You can see then it slides forward. Turn it over, and then you just got to push these springs now in so they don't catch. So push them in like that and slide up. Easier said than done. Oh, I've clipped it back down. There we go. And there's your battery clip. There's a little bit of high temperature tape on there. Potentially either used for when they were soldering something, which is unlikely. It's more than likely protecting against short circuits inside the control case. So simply snap that back in. We'll just reassemble this back case now we've done the back. That just clicks in nicely. This rubber cover goes back over. The button PCB sits over that. And then you want to put the T6 screws back in. Oh, that's the wrong one. Just as I was saying, all these screws are the same, with the odd exception of whether they've got the sort of the built-in washer or not. So if we remember, these ones were, pick one up. They were these ones with the big washer face on, and that's just to offer more surface area to screw down. So that one goes in there. The other one goes on here. That's that board back on. Now for this trigger. So this is going to be a little bit tricky. So what you have to do with this, you have to get the green tab first and place that through the hole. So sort of rest it through the hole. See if we can get a good angle of this. Definitely zoom in for this. So you've got this hole here that you want to place this green tab through, and then you want to get the arm that you took out. You want to place that. You'll see these little. That's hard to see there, so you can get them there. See these tabs here and here. These two black tabs. It's easier to see when you take it apart. This has to go under those, so you have to push it under the tabs and then onto the hole. So you can see it's gone under those black tabs. Now you need to line up that hole with the hole in the black case. So you want to align this first to sort of central, say about there, and then try and place this black in and align the holes at the same time. And you'll find that it sort of naturally does that. So this is, you can see there the holes have lined up. You can just see the metal in between. And then you have to gently get the screw back in, because the green will try and fall through the bottom side. So it just takes a little bit of practice, but you just want to get that in the hole, and depending on how lucky you are, it's not quite catching. Let's try that again. So that's in the center. Let's get that over. Maybe nudge that with the screwdriver tip. There we go. And then we'll try and hold it from the back this time to try and keep the green tab upright. So I'm going to put my finger on the back of the green tab just to try and keep it upright. Or maybe even turn it upside down so gravity's sort of trying to help you. Nope. So these are really fiddly. So is the hole aligned again? Now there's probably a position that you can put these in, but I think that's got it. There we go. Third time lucky. So it just takes a little bit of practice. Once that's screwed in, spring goes back over there. The big washer goes over the top of that. Come on, you fiddly little screw. There we go. And there we go. And that screws down. And this spring is what gives it that snappy feel when you're flicking. Zoom back out a little bit now. Autofocus is having a bit of trouble. Come on. There we go. And that's back in. So that's the back fully taken apart and reassembled. Let's move on to the main board. So a little bit about the main board. You've got your Wi-Fi, I'm guessing, here in the tin can. You've got your main processor over here, an ARM processor. I think it's a KL version, a Kinetis maybe. There's the connector for your rear case, this ribbon off the rear case. Again, you got this capped on tape, probably to prevent when they were soldering the things in this case to not touch. You've got your vibrating motors. You've got your battery springs. You've got your triggers. You've got your magnets in the triggers, which go down to these. I'm guessing they are just transistors that act on the magnet getting closer, causing a change in voltage level. Then front cover, you can just remove, and then you'll see this little thing falls out. This is your switch that goes right here. Sort of a trigger, player 1, player 2 switch type of thing. It's, I believe it's 2 built-in settings to the back tactile buttons, so you can flip between 2 predefined configurations. Place that over there. Just pull these thumbsticks off, get them out of the way. You got your D-pad, so we can remove that now. Just get a flat object or a knife, and you'll see just under here you can just flick that little catch off. Do it both sides, and you'll see that then lifts out. You've got this little metal spring. You got the D-pad itself that's consists of the bit that snaps on, and the back face that again has the magnets in, which is what makes the fascias snap. When you put this back together, you'll see there's 3 tabs. So you got 1, 2, 3. The 4th hasn't got a tab on it. It's got this sort of different shape to it. And on the back, you'll also see there's 3 bumps. Again, try to get a good angle. There's a bump, that one, and that one, but this front one doesn't really have a bump. Again, it's easier to see, but that's how you identify the bottom. Probably simplest from the top that you get this sort of tab here. That gets us down this far. The next thing we want, we can get rid of these motors. So you can leave the motors on. It just makes assembly much more difficult. Disassembly rather, because these tend to get in the way. So just grab a soldering iron and just on these points here where the wires attach, you can just quickly desolder them. The black and grey wires are the motors that are inside the triggers that run around the front. So they go all the way around here, down, up, and then to the triggers. Again, you can desolder those to get them out of the way. For now, just so I don't have to get a soldering iron out, I'm just going to pull these off, and I'll fix these. I'll resolder them after the video. That's them out of the way, and the motors come out. Same the other side. I'll just yank the wires off for now. And then for these little trigger motors, I'll do the same. And that's them out of the way. Back to the T6. You've got a screw down here. You've got a screw over here. Let's take those 2 out. And then this will now pull off. So you can grab it anywhere you want. You can grab it under here, you can grab it over here. When you pull this off, you'll notice the headphone jack will fly out. It's simply under compression. So just get a hold of anywhere and just pull and lift off. And there's the main board we'll look at in a moment. There's the headphone jack that's gone astray, so that's where it sits on there, and it just simply rests on. If you take it off, there's like a little groove here. You just place that over and it sits on when you come to reassemble, but we'll do that this time. Move that out of the way. I'll come back to this in a minute. Here's one of the main circuit boards. So this has got your thumbsticks on. You'll see your up, down, left, right movement is done via these potentiometers. So you've got one here, one here. So that's your up, down, left and right that you'll see moving when you move the triggers. Sorry, the joysticks. You've got your main connector blocks here, which connect the 2 boards together. You got your auxiliary port there, which is for like your headphones, your old headphones or the keyboard adapters. These gold contacts are the headphone 3.5mm jack. So these simply press down onto these contacts and make electrical contact with just pressure. And then you've got, let's have a look on the back. There's the Wi-Fi we mentioned. Oh, we've been over the back. That's all there really is to this board. And your little B button up there. Set that aside. Now we're down to this far. So you got your battery springs on here. You got another load of screws holding this board down. So let's go ahead and remove those. So there's one here. There's another one down here. One here. One here. One up by the B button. And I think finally one there at the bottom. So this board's now free. It won't exactly pull out straight away. This tends to hold it in. So we can do one or two things. We can either remove this bar first, which I think we'll do, or we can pull this out. So let's remove this bar first. So this bar is held in by this little clip here that you can see, this white tab there. And the trick to get these out is quite simply push forward here. So push on this that way, and on this that way, and that releases this spring here. So if I push forward here, you should see this spring just come off. So you see it there, that white clip. And we'll put it back on. It goes in there, and it's really easy. You just push and it comes out like that. Do that on the other side. Just push and it releases, and then I think this thing will just lift off. See, so no, this is now stuck by this circuit board, so we can't get that off until we remove the circuit board. So let's do it that way around. Simply lift up the circuit board at the bottom end here, and what's catching on this board is the bumpers, the buttons that these press. They get sort of stuck on the plastic, so you tend to lift up here, and then you'll hear like a little click like that, and then just pull forward. And it's these that are getting caught. These you just have to lift out of this area. See these tabs here? They sometimes put these in the controllers, they sometimes don't. These little white tabs, I don't even put those back. They don't serve any real purpose. This was your conductive pad. If I can get it back into the position it would have been in. There we go, there's the conductive pad over all the buttons. We'll come back and look at this little board in a minute. So you just remove this pad. If your buttons aren't pressing well, it's usually this pad. So this black here, I think, is like a carbon type of deposit inside the rubber. It's basically a conductive material. And when you press the button up, it presses this rubber up, which presses against the circuit board, these black carbon. So there's a top and a bottom, and they're not joined. If you look closely, I don't know how close this camera will focus, but you'll see this black isn't physically joined with that black. They're close, but they're not joined. So when this pad goes over, which sits over, I'll get it the right way, this way, sits over the buttons like that, and you imagine when you press the button, touches down, and this black joins these two together, and then that's what registers a button press. So if your buttons aren't working very well, it might be worth taking this out and cleaning this with isopropyl alcohol or IPA fluid. So that's that. We'll take a quick look at the back side of this board, get this out of the way. So there's your D-pad buttons, just physical tactile buttons. There's your bumpers, your LB and your RB. There's your LED if you want to change that for a different colour. So we can get a camera to focus again. So that's just a simple, it's not quite an 0603 LED, but you'll easily fit an 0603 on there. And that's a standard white. And then on this remaining part, you've got your contact pad here. so you can clean that with IPA fluid if your buttons don't seem to be as functional. That's what makes your contact to your buttons. Then you've got all your buttons in here. Just simply tip it up and they'll all fall out. So you got your start, your back, your ABXY, your guide button. All those are out. Then you now want to get this bumper bar off. So again, let's just make sure it's still released. So you just push on the back to release that tab, on the back to release that. And then I think you have to slightly lift up the front there, and there we go, that flies off. That's your bumper bar out the way. The sync button simply pulls forward off that clip, slides out. You've got your wires going to your trigger motors, so they go all the way around here, up, and into the triggers. That's all that's left on this board now, so to remove the triggers, you've got 2 screws here and here. So simply remove those. And then the top pulls off. So there's your actual trigger head. And you'll see if I turn it round, there's your motor and the trigger that just sits in the cradle. And there's the motor. This cradle, you can technically get off. So you'll see there's a spring here, and that's what's giving this spring action. Now the issue with these is, see if I can zoom in and get a good image for you. So you've got, there's the bar going through, and it goes right the way through there and holds a spring in. And the other side, so this part here, you've got like a knurl that's keeping this bar in place. So it's going to take a lot of force to push that bar out. I believe it's like pressed in at manufacture. If you really need to get it out, you could also try and get sort of a knife between here and here and sort of wiggle and more so bend the plastic apart. So instead of trying to remove that bar, you sort of bend the 2 black plastic tabs outward to free the bar. But there shouldn't really ever be a reason why you need to replace this part. So that's really as far as we can go with disassembly. You can see we've got, zoom out so you can get a good picture of everything we've got. So we've got the main, we've got this and this. Got 2 circuit boards, got a bunch of screws, I've got motors, got buttons. Just put all the buttons in place. Got your bumper bar, which you can see there, your contact pad, DPad, audio connector, thumbsticks, more screws. So sort of, there's the collection of everything sort of dismantled. Get that over there. So now it's time to put all this back together, which is where the fun begins. So start with the main cradle. Put the a little bit closer in. Put the motor back in the cradle if it's not already. Simply sits in there. Get the trigger head, place it on, and just line up the holes with the screw holes on the back. Should be fairly easy to do. And you'll sort of feel it go in nice and firm. And you want to get one of the small screws, and then get that to go back in. That. believe the bumper bar was next. So again, similar to reversing. You'll see that there's these tabs here. So see those two tabs there. These tabs here slide through the center of them. So you'll see when they go in, see them sliding through the center there. So they go through the center, and then you simply push down, basically press your buttons as if you were pressing them on the controller, and they just naturally go back in, and these click back over. So that's that back in. Now get your guide button, and all the other buttons, the A, B, X, Y. Basically go through and put every button in. That's that. Y button. Again, they only fit in one, so if you can't remember where they go, they do physically only fit in one place anyway. X. That's that. That's over here. There we go. Now I forgot the sync button. Just quickly pop this back off. Don't forget the sync button. So that slides in, as we mentioned. The groove right by the hole here. So that pushes in that hole there. Then your bumper bar goes on. So yeah, don't forget that, or else if you build the whole controller back up and then realise your sync button isn't in, you've got a big job on your hands. Let's put all these buttons back in that have now fell out again. Y button. B button. A button. X. I believe that's it for there. So you got your A, B, X, Y, start, back, guide button. This contact pad can then go back over them. There we go. And then the circuit board with your LED and your holes in goes in this way up. You sort of want to do it in reverse, so you're lifting it quite high up, sort of like that, as you're pushing in, to try and get those bumper buttons in. And then once it's over, it pushes down. You can sort of hold it with your hand like that and turn over and check that all your buttons press. So you can see here the Y button isn't pressing, so the Y button's moved when we've done that. So just give that a second go, pull that out. There we go, and just make sure all the buttons are sitting flat in again, because when you push this circuit board in, it tends to bounce the buttons around. So you want to push in like that, and then down, and hold in, and let's check, and there we go. All the buttons are fine, sync button works, bumpers, triggers. So that's that board in. Now you simply send the screws back in. So again, these are the small, everything inside's the small T6s. It's only the outsides that have the larger T8 screws. So I'll just put a few in the bottom, I won't bother putting every screw in here. Well, to be honest, I might as well, there's only a few more. I think there was 5 in here, wasn't there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm not sure now. Maybe 6. I'm just sort of guessing where these went. You can look at the video to see where they went, but yeah, we've put one in somewhere we shouldn't here, because I think this one wasn't in. And I know that because I've only got 2 small screws left, and I know there's 2 small screws that go. I know which one it was. It's this one down here, the last one I put in. Because when the second board goes over, this one, oh no, that's way over there. So yeah, I think it was this one that didn't go in. Doesn't matter so much because you've got enough screws here holding everything in. I believe that was the original order. Let's get the D-pad back on, which is going to be interesting now because actually no, it should be fine. Aha, there's another screw. So yeah, that one, you have to watch out with everything that's magnetic in this controller because the magnets tend to stick the screws together. So there was actually one in that hole as well, and that makes sense now because there's every screw hole filled. So that's them screws back in. For the D-pad, I think it's get it the right order again. Make sure that tab's on the bottom. I think that goes in first, and then this metal spring, the big flat part goes at the bottom again, and the one with the 2 holes goes at the top. 2 holes sort of hook over there, and that just presses in where we pulled it off. And nope, that was the wrong way around. That goes in, and then the green sits on top. So that goes over, and the green actually, I think I did it right the first time, but there we go. You press the green tabs under these little metal curves, just act as sort of springs to push the D-pad back up. Should get this right. So I still think it's D-pad first. D-pad goes in first, clip goes over. Ah yeah, so we had it right the first time. Green D-pad in first, spring over. Now, this is a point where you can solder your, oh no, sorry, got to click this in first. So, again, sort of leaning forward, wiggle in there, and then this will rest here. Now don't forget your 3.5mm audio jack. So just lift this board up. This places in that groove we mentioned. So it's sitting where it should be. And this board sits down on top. And you'll see it's all aligned correctly because it sort of just falls into place and all the edges match up. And then you remember those 2 black connectors on the bottom? You can see them there just in the video. You're basically going to apply pressure to them, which roughly are around here, and you just push them together. And you'll sort of feel and hear the click, and then that board's in now. And then you've got your audio jack that's in line. Now it'd be the point when you'd resolder these wires. You'd put the motors back in and the wires back in. So I'll just rest those motors in for now. And you want to screw this board down, so you should have 2 small screws left. And they're in the far corners. So one down there. And one down this corner. And now we're almost there. You can turn it over, get your thumbsticks back on, put your D-pad back on, which you can do afterwards because this pulls out either way. Put your cover over, Oh wait, we've got to put the player switch back in, which is there. So before you put the front on camera, there we go. You've got to put this little player switch back in. Goes in a hole here. And then you can test it out. You should feel the click. Cover back over. And you can test that all your buttons and triggers and everything you expect to work works, which is good. Put the motor back in. There we go. And now you've got your back cover. So before the back cover goes on, you have to take this flex cable and reattach it to this connector. So make sure the black tab is still up. That will be that way around. And then your ribbon connects into there. So you simply push it in. It's hard to get on camera. And you basically push the ribbon in. So let's zoom in. Assembly inserted the ribbon, pushed it forward, and then folded this black tab downwards to lock it in. And then you can gently pull to see that it's in place. So the opposite of removing. To remove, you lift this up, pull the cable out. To fit it back in, you push the ribbon in, and then while you've got it pushed in, you flick that cable, that black tab down. And then with everything still in your hand, I'm still holding the bottom on because this is loose, to get this back cover back on. Come on, autofocus. There we go. So to get this back cover on, you have to get these battery springs through the holes in the back case. You have to sort of pull them through. You can see them there now, poking through the case. You have to make sure they're through. And then once they're through, you then want to push down on the triggers because they'll catch, and then push down on the case. If you don't do that, these triggers tend to get stuck. You can just then push hard to get them under the case, but you want to get the springs through first, then you want to push your triggers down and push the case down. And then you want to send the center screw in here so the front case is held in. So now you need your TH, your larger screwdriver, and screw this down. And now you can sort of relax a little bit. Now the whole thing's held in. Now the next thing is to get this audio cable back over. So when you're pushing, you won't quite get it over. Take your screwdriver, either one, place it in the hole, and sort of pull this way down at the same time as pushing in. And this will snap this audio connector into place. It's quite difficult, and when you get it, it'll click into place. This one, of course, has been a pain. And then you can send the remaining 4 screws in. Last screw. And we can snap the D-pad back on. Get the covers, they just click back on. Battery cover slides back on. And there we go. That's the complete reassembly of the controller. So I hope this was useful. Oh, haven't put that back cover on. I hope this tutorial was useful. We've gone through the entire dismantling of the controller, as well as reassembly this time, which I know was a thing that a lot of you asked for. So I hope you guys enjoy. Any comments, let me know.